Welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to analyze the results that were produced when the test cases were run. When these two test cases, my first test case and my second test case finished running. In the root of the folder, when you run the test cases finish running, Robot Framework creates 3 files for you. Those are the log.html file, the output.xml file, and the report.html file, including the files you already have in your directory. But let me quickly remove the main.py because we are not going to use it. So yes, so now we have the initial robot file we created and the 3 other files that were created after the test cases finished running: the log, the output, and the report files. The log file has information about which test cases passed or failed, the time duration, the screenshots, a whole lot of information, detailed information about your test cases, the test suite, and others. And then the report has like a high-level summary of the test cases, the execution of the test cases. And then the output.xml file has detailed information, which like the detailed machine readable information about the test case execution. So we are not going to use this unless you absolutely have to. So usually the log file, opening the log file alone is enough. So let's open the log file and see what it contains. So we can right click the log file and then open in, and then we go to the browser and then we choose Chrome. You can open it in Firefox as well, but I'll choose Chrome. First, before I open the log file, let me run it. Let me run the test cases again. Yes, so they still passed. So now let me open the log file in Chrome. Yeah, so as you can see from the top, it says 16 seconds ago. So anytime you refresh, it takes you back, like it refreshes the time it took, like how long ago the file was created. So anytime you, and then we have a link to the report file itself. So as you can see, this is the report link, but as you can see from the bottom left, when I hover over, there's the link pops up that it goes to the report.html. So that's the same folder in which the log file is. So when you click it, it will just change. So we are now in the report, initial report. Then we have the log. So the log, this is the log. So we have our test cases. My first test case, my second test case. So when you open it, you see all the keywords that were used in that specific test case. And we used log hello world. This is my first test case as shown here. So this is what we are seeing in the log file. And then it says it was run at this time, finished at this time, and it took this amount of time. As you can see, it says start, end, elapsed. So the time of the day started, the time of the day it ended, then how long the run took. So the same for the second test case. So it's telling us that the log is an inbuilt keyword. That is, it is part of the Robot Framework itself. So if it was from the Selenium library, you see Selenium library instead of built in. So we see the log hello world. This is my second test case. And then we have the test suite as initial. This initial is coming from the file name. This is it, the file name. So if we had initial2, we'll see initial2. So let me quickly rename refactor, and let's see if we'll see. Yes, so now the file name is initial2. Yes, so there's no file again as initial, so initial2. Yeah, so it passed. So we go back, and since the log is already open, we can just refresh. Yes, so as you can see, we have the suite, the initial2, that's the name of the file, and that's the suite, and it says statistics by suite. So if you have 5 files that contain test cases, all of them will be listed under the statistics suite. So remember that the suite is the file that contains all the test cases. So when we say test suite, we basically mean a file that contains all the test cases. And we haven't talked about tags yet. We will talk about them in a few minutes. So because everything passed, that's why we are seeing green. But if some failed, we'll see green and red. And then typically it opens the test case that failed, like at the point where it failed. So, but because it passed, everything has been minimized. But if it failed, we would have seen that the test case has been expanded to show where it failed. So let me quickly create an error so we see how it looks like. So let me remove this because the log is expecting at least a message. So this should fail. That's why if you hover over it, it says mandatory argument missing message. So it is expecting the user to pass in a message to log, but we have omitted it. So let's see what happens. So still initial2 and enter. And then quickly it says 2 critical tests, 1 passed, 1 failed. At this point, we don't know. Yeah, okay, it says keyword built-in.log. So this is the log we used, this one. Expected 1 to 6 arguments, got 0. So which means maximum arguments we can pass to the log keyword are 6, but we need at least 1. That's the message to pass, but we got 0. It got 0 because we did not supply any arguments. So let's go back, refresh. Yes, so straight away you see it opens the test that failed, and then the same error we saw in the terminal. It says keyword built-in log expected 1 to 6 arguments, got 0. So this usually the error messages are straightforward and are easy to understand. Some are a lot difficult to comprehend, but these are like straightforward. It's expecting at least 1, but got 0. So we quickly go there, check your code and see what you are missing. Then from here, you know, you forgot to add the message. So you can type in anything at all, then it will pass. Now the red line is gone. So when we rerun the tests, now 2 critical tests, 2 passed, 0 failed. So we go back, refresh, and voila, all the test cases passed. So that is for the log file, and the report, it basically tells you more or less the same thing, but the log has more details in its file. So now that we understand what the suite is, now let's go to the tags. But before we actually go to the tag, let me quickly say this. The 3 files that are generated by the robot framework after the run, by default, they come straight into the project, into the root of the project. So that's why when we run it, from here, we don't specify any path or any folder to which the files should be sent. So by default, it goes into the root of the folder. That's the robot framework course folder. So usually it's advisable to create a folder for the file, so you have your output files organized. So, but typically you are going to have other files and folders in your root, in the root of the folder. So just having these becomes really difficult to track down. So I would advise you put your files in a folder, and there's a way to specify how to do that. So before the path of the file you are running, after the robot command, you just write -d. This -d is a flag that says output directory, so where you want your files to go. So -d, and then you write the name of the folder you want it to go. It can be anything, but let's name it logs. So we are telling robot that run the initial file, the initial 2.robot file, and then when the results are ready, put them in a logs folder. So here, if the logs folder does not exist, it creates it automatically for you. So you don't have to create. You can have it created manually, but if it doesn't exist, it's going to create it for you. So now let's run this and see what happens. So I click enter again, and same result, passed, passed. And then that's not the one. Yeah, this is it. So as you can see, now the path has changed. The output has gone to logs. The log file itself has gone to logs. The report has also gone to logs. So as you can see from here, this is the folder. Even though it did not exist, now it is here. So we can delete this one. Yeah, so when we open this, now this is the current one, the one we just run. The files that were created, they are now in a log. So which means now this should create an error because the path has changed. 404 not found. So we can quickly just open, we can go into the PyCharm and open it from there, or we can just type logs and then enter, because the path to the log file has now changed to logs. So now we have this, which was run. I rerun that one a couple of minutes ago. So as you can see, it says 5. It started at 5:54, and the time is now 5:56. Yeah, and it took, I don't know, some milliseconds for it to run. So that's how you can change the directory in which your log files are put after the run. So let's see. Yeah, so it's still there because both of them are in the logs. Yeah, so you can switch between them. Yes, so now let's go to tags. What is a tag? Suppose now we have let's say we have 3 test cases, or let's say 4 test cases. Yeah, so my third test case, my fourth test case. I'll just leave the log as it is. It doesn't really matter. So suppose now when I run this again, it's going to run all the 4. Yes. So we quickly go refresh, and we can see all the 4 test cases we created. So it still says suite, statistic by suite, initial 2. We have 4 total, 4 passed, 0 failed. Basically, no time was used because it took just a few milliseconds. So suppose we don't want to run all the test cases at once. Maybe one of our test cases failed. We don't know the reason why it failed, and we don't want to spend 20 or 30 minutes running all the test cases again. So we want to run only, let's say, my third test case what do we do? And that is where tags come in. A tag is more or less an identifier that identifies test cases. So if you want to run some test cases but not some, you can just tag them and run those separately. So the way we add tags to our test cases, we just type tags in the square brackets. Yes, and then we can give it any name at all. So let's say TC3. So at this point, if we run that, so let's say my third test case has been named. So this is the name. Let's say nickname. Let's say the tag is a nickname. So we want to run TC3 using that tag. But the problem is if we just run the file, it's still going to run all the 4 test cases, even though we have categorically specified the tag, let's say the nickname to this. So how do we make sure the robot command runs only my third test case? All we have to do is include this tag, the TC3, in our command. So after the robot, we have another flag, which is I, which is include. So robot dash I include, and then the name of the tag we want to run. So if it was TC5, we write TC5. So let's run and see what happens. Yes, so as you can see, we have only one critical test, 1 passed and 0 failed. So that is what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to achieve running only my third test case by running its tag, and this is the only one in a list that has been tagged. So let's go to the log file again, refresh. This time around, we have only one test case running. Yeah, then it says the tags. So when we go to the statistics, we see statistics by tag TC3. We have only one passed, 0 failed. So that is how we tag our test cases. So let's say we've changed our mind. We want to run multiple test cases. So we can just, so anywhere any test case we want to run, just tag it. So tags TC. So this should run my third test case, my fourth test case, and these are run in order from top to bottom. So let's run again and see. Oh yeah, we remove the 3. So as it says, suite initial 2 contains no test matching tag. So straight away, you know there is no tag TC3. So you quickly go and check if there isn't, then you do the necessary changes. So let's enter again. Now, 2 tests were run, my third test case, my fourth test case. So this is it. And these are the files that were created. Let's go back and check. So we have my third test case, my fourth test case. So that is that for the tags. And also we can exclude a tag. We can use we have I for include, so you can exclude a tag. So which means, let's see what actually happens. Let's see what happens if we use the E. Let's see if it runs. I've not tried this before, but let's see what the exclude does. So let's exclude. So run everything in the initial 2 robot file, but exclude any test case that has TC attached to it. So from my guess, it's going to run my first test case and my second test case. So even if these had tags, let's see. Okay, so let me leave my test case without a tag. and my second test with the hello tag. Let's see if they are still going to run. That's my first test case and my second test case. I haven't tried it before, so hopefully, yes. So my first test case passed. My second test case also passed, meaning we were successful in excluding the tags, the test cases that had the tag TC in them. So you can play, so you can use both of them. You can use the include, you can use the include tag and the exclude tag as well. So you can play around this more. So that is it for the explanation into the three files that the robot framework creates when the test cases finish running, and also tags. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.